it should be no surprise what our daily special is today.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
It is going to be the Phoenix Suns. Because while we may talk about them a little bit tomorrow, depending on how things go, they are back in action tonight, starting a 3-game stretch at least, where they will not have Kevin Durant. He's going to be reevaluated in a week. That was the initial report yesterday from Shams Charania. It's kind of been updated a little bit that he's expected to miss 1 to 2 weeks. So it might go beyond these 3 games that we know for sure he is going to miss. But it starts tonight with a game against the 4-18 Pelicans. And I don't want to say that there's a good time for an injury to happen, that there is a good stretch to have one of your best players, probably the best player on your team, sideline. There isn't a time where it's like, yes, I'm excited. I'm happy that the best player for the team is not going to participate. But if you were going to pick a spot for this team to be able to thrive or be able to win basketball games with Kevin Durant sidelined, it is this stretch, because it starts tonight with a 4-8 basketball team, a Pelicans team that is a disaster. It is a 10-10 Heat team that you're going to play on Saturday. It is, yes, a good Magic team, but a team that you should be able to beat because you have Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. Going 3-0 in this stretch where we know for sure Kevin Durant is going to be sidelined for is absolutely on the table. I think 2-1 for the Suns during this stretch is the minimum that we need to see from them. If you want me to take you seriously, with Kevin Durant out of the lineup, and you still have 2 members of the big 3, you have Bradley Beal, you have Devin Booker, you got to show me something. We've seen 2 games where this group has been out there. And they went 1-1 in that stretch where it has been Booker and Beal on the court together. No Kevin Durant. 1-1, then Beal went down with the injury. We know how that story finished out. 5 straight losses. They went, 1-7 in that stretch? 6 straight losses? They were not very good when both of those guys were out. That is not the case. They will have Devin Booker. They will have Bradley Beal. So they start tonight this 3-game stretch without Kevin Durant. Can they survive this stretch? Yes, the schedule absolutely puts them in a position to, I think, at a minimum, I think the bare minimum this team needs to accomplish over these 3 games is we need to get to, what would that be? I'll do some quick math here. That would be Monday's show. Monday, December 9th. We need to be walking in here, and we need to be talking about a team that went 2-1 without Kevin Durant. Worst case scenario. If they go 1-2 or they go 0-3, I'm going to ask a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot for us to debrief on. Because I'm going to play you a quote from Kendrick Perkins. He was on, I believe, the ESPN on NBA, or NBA on ESPN show that they do on a regular basis. And this is Kendrick Perkins on that show discussing, in the wake of the news that Kevin Durant is going to miss about a week, maybe 2 weeks, but at least the next 3 games because he's getting reevaluated what would be next Wednesday. This is what Kendrick Perkins had to say about one specific member of the Phoenix Suns.
Well, I mean, Malika, look, with KD in the lineup, they look like, championship contenders. With KD out of the lineup, they look like a lottery team. And I'm glad that Shams brought up Bradley Beal, right? He was the piece when they traded for him from Washington that's supposed to move the needle. Now, he's not having a horrible year. He's averaging about 17 points, shooting 49% from the field. But this is the time for Bradley Beal to be great and justify why they made the move for him. Remember how we was talking about, they're top heavy. They have a big 3, but they can't fill in. Now they didn't fill in the spots. You still have a guy in Devin Booker who's a top 20 player in the league. It's time for Bradley Beal to stand on business.
That is what Bradley Beal needs to do. There is nothing about what Kendrick Perkins said right there that I disagree with. Bradley Beal was supposed to be the final piece. You made the big blockbuster trade. New ownership came in, and you made the big blockbuster trade, and you brought in Kevin Durant to pair with Devin Booker. And you felt that you needed one more piece. You needed a trifecta. You needed a big 3. In an era of basketball where teams are going with kind of the big 2, the dynamic duo, instead of the big 3, you decided that you needed a big 3. You needed that third piece to help fill out this team. And the person that you went out and got, the person that you thought fit in with Kevin Durant, that fit in with Devin Booker, was the perfect cherry on top to build out this team that you thought could win a championship. That piece was Bradley Beal. And Kendrick Perkins says it. Bradley Beal's not playing terribly. He's not an albatross for this team, But here is the moment for you to step up. Here is the moment for Bradley Beal to show everybody that, yes, Kevin Durant is injured. Yes, I, Bradley Beal, have my own injury history. But in this moment, when we need to have it, when we have a stretch of games that we need to go 2-1 or 3-0, I can step up and show to everybody, at least in this small sample size, why this team traded for me, why this team believed in me, why this team sought me out as the missing piece to their championship contending team. This is the moment. This is the 3-game stretch. We come in here on Monday and they go 1-2, they go 0-3, or Bradley Beal in these 3 games, God forbid, gets hurt, and we're having the same conversations that we've been having for the last year plus. Then we are going to be right back to the summer conversations of, should this team have run it back? Where do they go from here? And truly not being able to get behind them. Because I don't blame you for not getting behind this team right now. Do you want to hitch your wagon to a team that you don't know if they're going to be healthy? That you want to ride this roller coaster wave, not knowing what they're going to look like in the postseason? And the scary part is, the thing that should frustrate all of us, and it certainly frustrates me, is look at how good it looks when they are all healthy and together. Look at how good and dominant they are. Look how much fun was that stretch to start the year. We were nitpicking things to try to be like, okay, you're playing great. You're one of the top 2 teams in the West. You're competing for that top seed. Now we can nitpick. Now we can look at those things that are really going to take you over the top. The things that are going to matter in the playoffs, that are going to matter in the postseason to make that championship run. That's fun. That's the team living up to expectations. That's the team following the story of redemption that we told you they could be on this season. And yet here we are, 20 games into the season, past the quarter mark, and I think we are right back where we were at the end of last year. I think we are right back to the place of, I can't put my trust in this team because this team hasn't given me something to put trust into. Because yes, it looks great when they're all on the court together, but your best ability in sports is availability. And when 2 members of the big 3 that the Suns have put together, their availability is almost always in question. This team played 8 or 9 games, maybe 10 games with all 3 guys on the court together. That's at best 50% of the time this season. They have all 3 been on the court together. That's not sustainable. How many games do all 3 members play in? I mean, Bradley Beal hasn't played in more than 53 games in a season for the last 3 years. I'd have to look very quickly at what Kevin Durant's game logs look like for the last couple years. But it's certainly not 60. It might be around the 50 mark. So you're going to basically say 23 plus games or so, you are playing without at least one of these guys, if not a couple of them. Your best ability in sports is availability. And for the Phoenix Suns, that unavailability is what is going to plague them. It is what is going to doom them. It is what is stopping us from talking about them in the tier that they should be discussed in. Because when they are right, when they are healthy, I don't think there is a team in the Western Conference that they can't beat in a playoff series. That team that I saw to start the season, that team that I saw in that game against the Lakers when everybody was back together, that team can win the Western Conference. That team can make a playoff run. The problem is, am I going to get that team when we get to the playoffs? And what seeding is this team going to be in when we get there? And so tonight, we embark on the next chapter of this journey. We embark on the next era of Suns basketball where they have to navigate missing one of these pieces. And it is a shame because Kevin Durant is one of the best basketball players in the game, and you see the impact that he has on this team. And so my plea, my message to the Suns, this is the 3-game stretch where you can, I think, slowly start to get people to buy in. Because I think there are a lot of people, rightly so, that are on the fence about this team, that they need to see it. Because Kevin Durant is hurt, because Bradley Beal gets hurt, and they are unable to see this team at full capacity. So when they are not at full capacity, and this stretch lines up the way that it does, 4-18 team tonight in New Orleans, you do something in this stretch of games. You show me something, Bradley Beal. You step up, and you are the Batman or Robin, and Devin Booker plays the other role, and you are the dynamic duo that leads this team through at least this 3-game stretch. When we come in here on Monday, we're talking about a team that went 2-1 or 3-0. That's the bare minimum that this team needs to do. That is what this team has to acquire over the next 3 days. At least 2 victories.